getting ready to seize your first opportunity to come into the ring and start grandstanding and hot dogging, yeah!
I can't help it that I look good, smell good, can dance all night long.
When we speak, our voices are heard. We all say, I bring it.
Welcome to the Wrestling Podcast that brings the end of the year with excitement. This is Malice Smack Talk. I am your host, Masonic Vader. This is our last show of the year, and with me tonight, I have the brains of the organization. We have Bearded Master Marty.
What's up, everybody? Let's get this thing going.
Yes. And Derek's on assignment with Coach. So we are going to actually have a really good podcast tonight now, since we don't have dead weight. No, I'm just kidding.
And we're going to go pretty quick because we're not going to have a bunch of word fillers to separate the words in between our sentences.
That or the fact that he's going to give us an extra minute of just repeating everything that we said and agreeing with us.
I mean, we're going to free up time by just eliminating his pauses between every sentence he says.
You know, yeah, I'm going to agree with Marty. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's the last show of the year, so yeah, that's what I agree with.
And right there, enough. We can end the show on that. That was just perfect. All right. Hey, guys, so thank you very much for watching our cast tonight. We're recording this one. We've got the holidays around, so we're sneaking this in beforehand. This is also my return. This fat bearded guy took over for the last month, and I kicked his ass out of the seat, and I'm back there. It's just a fat guy with no beard. Nice. And we're gonna be here just going a quick review of the year, giving you our thoughts on wrestlers of the year in all different organizations. I'm gonna be handling the WWE side of it, and that'll be encompassing Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Bearded Master is actually going to expand and give out to the other areas as well with New Japan and whatnot. So that's going to be the show. And, of course, like always, make sure that when you're watching, give us a thumbs up, like us, follow us, tell us we suck, whatever you want to do, because that's what we do this show for. I mean, literally, it's for you guys watching it. And before we dive into everything, we got to give props one more time to Malice-Corp. Malice Corp is the host parent site for us. They graciously let us do this for the last 7 months now. So
actually, no, we're coming up on a year, dude. We started this in March. WrestleMania, we started right around then.
Good God, dude. Cheers on that, sir.
Cheers on that. Cheers on that.
Yeah, stink. Except mine's plastic from Universal Studios, but whatever. It's also got crappy Toddy beer, but you know.
I got some nice Belgian style from White Rascal, dude. I haven't had White Rascal in forever.
Oh yeah, man. Christmas wiped me out, so I'm going to the leftover beer now in the refrigerator. So there you go. So first things first, I don't want this holding out anymore. I have to give props. The winner, the man on the other side, the bearded master, is the championship of our channel here. He was successfully ripped us to shreds, picking all the picks not all of them, but he had the most picks with all the pay-per-views this year. Congratulations, standing ovation. Wonderful.
We'll give it for Derek. Standing ovation. Wonderful.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes,
that's what happens when you are the most watched, most see talent on the wrestling podcast in the wrestling podcast universe. People tune in to watch what I have to give, not what Derek has to offer because there's not much. He's the Bo Dallas to my Miz. So when I give my picks, people tune in. This isn't true TV. This is Malice Smack Talk. People check in to see what the bearded master has to provide in knowledge and wisdom. And the beard brings the picks. And the no beard and the no hair on the head gives Derek the lack of picks. So hopefully he's out reading some wrestling books, reading some annuals and some anthems from the former years. So when he does return that comes next year, he can actually have some wins, and we'll give him props when he finally decides to do that.
That was deep. That right there. That was deep.
And to go with that, That's not even the ripping I'm going to give him when he finally gets back on air. So let's go to the next topic.
Yes, but I do got to give you props, man. You had a great year. We were actually just talking about it a couple minutes ago. You came out of the gate slow and then just tore it apart. And Survivor Series was your nail, pretty much, man. That put you over the top. So congratulations on
and after I had to go through and get your picks because you guys didn't send them to me beforehand, so I could post them for TLC. So I had to go through after and listen to them. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like tallying them up, and I kept going. I'm like, okay, I got this, and then all I saw was pick, win on your call. I'm like, oh shit, is he gonna catch up? Like, this isn't good. He's almost got a perfect roster right here.
Oh man,
and then it came to that last pick. Let's see, I can't remember what the last pick you got. I think you guys picked Becky, but then it was the match before that, where I think I got Derek on, and I'm like, oh man, if he picks the same pick as me or he picks different here and gets that win, oh damn, I just lost. And it came to that last match. I had a feeling he might actually go the underdog route and pick Asuka to win the title, but then I'm like, nah, I'm going Becky. He's going Becky. There's no way he's not going to pick the man.
I am the man.
So it definitely had me on my toes. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out as the event kept going. I'm like, oh, great. But no, it was fun. What did we get in? Like 7 events this year? 6, 7 events?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was, I mean, we've been, I think our first event was Extreme Rules back in July. Yeah, so we got 7 events in there this year. So that's awesome. A lot of picks, a lot of shows. Those of you who have stuck around and listened and participated, we appreciate that, because we wouldn't be doing this if you guys weren't there listening to us and listening to our picks and watching these three buffoons just rag on each other regarding wrestling. So again, thank you to our host site. Appreciate all that you guys have done for us for this year. And we're ready to end it so we can jump into the new one.
Absolutely. Now, as we get into the end of the year stuff, I just want to tag on one thing in current events right now for WWE, and it was what they announced on Christmas Eve. The whole McMahon's taking over both shows kind of thing. What's your? I know what my thoughts are. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Bearded. What did you think about that?
Well, let's go back a little bit further, because it's actually going to be back to the week before. Christmas Eve was when McMahon made the announcement for the tag team titles for the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
The week before is when he made the announcement the McMahons and Hunter are going to be jumping and taking control.
Thank you. Wrong weekend, yeah.
My thought is, okay, you're going to say that this is because of the GM, when we all know that backstage it's the 4 of you guys running the show. So one, the disbelief there is whatever. I'm happy the fact that they got rid of Baron Corbin as far as the GM goes, and he's not in that role. I'm actually pretty okay with it. I know that you are very big on not bringing the old talent and not bringing the old personas back and letting the new guys run with it. However, I feel that having McMahon on TV, and when I say McMahon, I mean like Shane. Shane's been great on TV. He always has been. The fact he inserts himself in these big matches, I'm not really on board with that. Triple H does it, but Triple H does it and does it at a high caliber. Shane does it. We're going to see a big spot, but that's really all you're going to see from that.
He's pretty much a daredevil for it.
Yeah, pretty much. But Vince, if we're going to get Vince out there and he's going to be Vince McMahon, the character again, I like it. And I love Vince on TV. If he's coming out there and if he's not going to be the authority figure, I'm interested to see what happens. As far as Triple H and Stephanie, one, I really don't want to see Stephanie on TV. I'm done with her. She's been the staple for the last 6-7 years. But if they're going to go away from the authority persona, and they're going to let her have just the same personality the entire time, where she's not coming out as a heel, and then 30 minutes later she's coming out as a face to announce something, and then an hour later she's coming out to be a heel again. If they're going to let her be the same character throughout the entire show, then I'm interested to see what they do. And the first thing that happened that night with her was when all the women ran to the table to try to get to the front so they can answer to Ronda Rousey's open challenge. And Stephanie grabbed everybody, yelled at them, told them, stop. You guys want, we want to come and want a chance. Follow me. And there was one line she said, and she said, I'm no longer picking favorites. I don't know how long that's going to hold up for. I don't know how long it's going to last. But the fact that she said that, and she didn't say it like to the camera or anything like that. She said it like in passing while they're walking away and trying to stop them. So she's kind of in the mess of it all. If that's the case, then I think why not? If they're not going to be picking favorites, they're not going to be doing the authority, and they actually do go with the way of giving us what we want, and that's the announcement they make. They're going to give less of what they've been doing and more what the fans want. More people we have never seen, matches we've never seen, things we haven't seen. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they will actually produce. And if that's the case, completely happy with that.
Yeah, and now as far as me bringing back old names and stuff, you are right on the head. But at this point, I have no problem with the McMahons coming back as long as it's not like the authority and stuff. That drags on too much. I get tired of seeing, Stephanie and Triple H coming out, and then it was Seth Rollins at one point. It was another person at a time. I just want to see competition. I think they need to do something with Raw. I'm tired of not seeing a heavyweight champion on Raw. It's ridiculous. It's their main show, and I think we've seen that belt 4 times in the last, I'm just going to say, a year on Raw. That guy does not show up anymore. It's pathetic. It's, once again, one of those things that I hope it's what they fix quick, very early and very fast. I'm hoping it's going to happen at Royal Rumble and just move on, because there's no need that Raw has no championship. I love the fact that they did announce the following week the women's tag team championships finally. It only took them all year. We've been begging for it since God knows when. So I am kind of interested in seeing what's going to happen with WWE going forward. 2019 is going to be one of those years where there's going to be a lot of unpredictable things going on with Fox and SmackDown, just generally with what they're trying to produce on WWE Network and everything. It'll be very interesting to see if they can start picking up the momentum. They've had a good week. I thought the Christmas Eve and the Christmas Day shows were both entertaining. NXT was good as well. So hopefully that's a good start for them. I just don't want to just leave the authority at home.
The one thing that I will say to go with that is that we have seen people that haven't necessarily been on TV in a while. And what I noticed most about last week was that there was less of repeat people. We may have got a Seth Rollins promo, and then we got a Seth Rollins match. We didn't get Seth Rollins promo, Seth Rollins backstage, Rollins commercial, Seth Rollins match. We didn't get all that. We got promo, match, promo, match, promo, no match, no promo. So it was spread out a little bit more. And I think that's what one of the biggest things over the last couple of years is that we consistently see the same person multiple times. So then it comes down to, well, where's everybody else at? We're just continually seeing the same 4 or 5 people for 3 hours. That's not going to keep me entertained or even keep my attention span. I want to see more content. And with a 3-hour show and so many performers, there's no reason why they can't give us as much content as they can.
And how about the intro to the new guys they're bringing up? They're bringing up Lars Sullivan, which we already knew. And then they announced that they're going to be bringing up Lacey Evans, which is going to be awesome for the women's division. EC3, he did not spend much time down in NXT. I think he spent half the year there, and he's already going main show.
He was there the whole year.
God, it doesn't seem like it
all year.
Oh, he did have that injury.
Well, not even that. They just don't use him right. And out of all of them, I'm actually the most excited, and I actually am excited to see EC3 come to the main roster. Yeah. I don't think that for who he is, what he's done, and what he can do, and just the look and talent he has, I don't think he should have ever been on NXT. Now, I'm not saying he's the same caliber. No, well, I'm going to say he's nowhere near the same caliber as an AJ Styles, but coming from Impact or TNA at that time, and him being the biggest star, basically the franchise of that industry or that company ever since, Joe, Angle, AJ, they all left. EC3 ran that organization. It's simple as that. Whether his affiliations with Dixie or whatever it may be, he was the name. He was the face of that company. He could have easily came and had some great feuds with guys on the main roster. I don't think straight up face to face there really is anybody on NXT that can hold the caliber to what he can. Now, I'm not saying there's not great. There's great talent there. There's people down there that I think should be on the main roster or headlining events in other organizations. Ricochet, one of them. Adam Cole is always a great talent. Yeah. Dream is amazing talent. But EC3 just has the look, appeal, and talent. He could easily have been in a feud with Drew McIntyre for 6 months this year. They just didn't use him right, and they didn't make a storyline for him that was believable. So I'm interested to see what they do with him on the main roster because they easily can, and I hope he doesn't get this thrown in the shuffle.
Yeah, and then they brought up, we already knew, but Nikki Cross was in there, and then they brought in heavy machinery. Oh my Dawson, my Revival. I hate that tag team, man. That is a horrible tag team.
They look like they're the extras from Vikings, and they just said, "Hey, we're just going to have you do this thing."
It's like the 2000s version of Typhoon and Earthquake. I mean, seriously, they're not even that entertaining in a sense. I mean, they have this crazy persona. The big guy could do the worm, woo woo, steak and weights, but they're just no offense, they're a garbage tag team. I've never liked them since they've been in NXT. They look like they were just shoved together. The most excited out of those, though, for me, is once again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say it's Lacey Evans. I think she's been really good on NXT. She's been a great influence to the women's roster there. I'm going to be very excited to see her caliber of talent going SmackDown or Raw with the women's division now. Women, we've talked about the women's division has gone flat a little bit. Having her and Nikki Cross into the main line will get things moving. And it's gonna be a good year. I think it's gonna be Lacey Evans' year. She's gonna win a championship before the end of the year. I'm gonna say it. So we've dove on too much there, man. Let's get on to this end of the year stuff, man. What I thought about what we talked about was just a quick. I'm gonna throw out a match of the year. I think that was good. Male superstar of the year, female superstar of the year, tag team of the year. We can just go a couple minutes, back and forth, whatever you think. If you just want to rip it to shreds, by all means, please do. But I'm going to start off with the match of the year right off the bat. The other ones are going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, to kind of filter through. But match of the year, there was too many contenders, man. It almost seemed like every pay-per-view there was something we would say was the match of the year. It was hard, man. I mean, I was doing my research. I was looking through lists. I was going back and watching a couple of them. I want to say 5 of them, but there's one that stuck out in particular that just that to me, I don't know, just kind of really kind of like put a bar to a point that I don't know. It was not expected. How about that? And it's going to be from the NXT brand, which I've said throughout the year has been, I want to say.
I want to guess first, and I want to see if I'm right.
Go for it.
Is it Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream? Oh, it's not?
No, that was close second. But one of the people.
Okay.
One of them has been there.
Ricochet and Adam Cole.
Yes, the Ricochet Adam Cole match was just I can't put it to words, man. I have never seen someone do a backflip and get freaking kicked in the jaw mid-flight. I mean, that match was entertaining from start to finish. It gives me goosebumps to see these guys go main roster. I mean, if it wasn't for, to me, I think NXT at the beginning of the year was kind of getting a little stale because they pushed their good talent up. And we talked about it. We were saying, hey, look, the women's division's doing good. They're holding it up. But the men's side of it was really dragging. And then you bring in Adam Cole and you bring in Undisputed Era. They've been doing good, and then all of a sudden you interject Ricochet. Ricochet is a talent we have not seen in a long time. A long time. There's a lot of guys that have great talent, but overall, he's got the whole package. And he's got the mic skills, he's got the athletic ability, daredevil, but he's also has no problem going ground and pound. And watching that match, I was from start to finish, it was just one of those entertaining matches. I did not want to. I watched it at least 3 times and that super kick to the jaw mid-flight had to have been just one of the best shots I've seen all year when it comes to a super kick. And you saw it on his face. I mean, he took it too, which was crazy. There's a lot of other matches, but for some reason that one just kept sticking in my mind. The Velveteen Dream and Ricochet one was also right up there. I do feel that with NXT, your high profile quality matches, man, it to me it reminds me of guys in AAA trying to reach for that freaking ring to get that one contract, and they're throwing their arms out, or they're playing arena football and they're just murdering people just to get one chance to go to the league. And that's what NXT seems like they have right now. And that's why I've always kind of been more NXT this year versus anything, because that heart and soul needs to get pushed up into Raw and be able to hopefully recreate that magic, because that match is definitely going to be match of the year caliber for the Slammies and everything. What are your thoughts?
I'm not going to disagree with you. I think that when it comes to NXT this year, I think that was by far the match of the year. Ricochet, I've always been a big fan of Ricochet. Even before he even came to NXT and WWE, so that was awesome when they signed him. Same with Adam Cole. Obviously, they both have the name outside the industry or outside the big brand. But what I liked most about that match was that it was a match that wasn't expected to be a top match. It was for the North American title. It was on the NXT Takeover Brooklyn, and weekend of SummerSlam. There was so much going on that weekend that there's no reason why an NXT match should have been the highlight. And when you had the was it a street match or whatever it was? I think it was a street match. I think it was the actual title of the match between Ciampa and Gargano, where they've had the feud of the year going to this point, and this is supposed to be balls to the wall, going to end it all. This is what they got, what we're going to get, steal the show. And to me, that match was a dud. Like, we talked about it, after that show, it didn't live up to what I expected for a third and a final match for them. And the fact that Ricochet and Cole put on a clinic, it made that match. They should have easily been the main event of that card. The only reason why they weren't was because it wasn't for the NXT title. It wasn't. And here's the thing. Given it had the NXT title match gone the way it was supposed to go and been that triple threat match with Aleister Black, we're talking a totally different story right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we didn't get that match. And the only reason why they left it there was because, well, one, it's an NXT title, and anytime the main title is on the line, you should absolutely have it as the main card. Get that right, WWE. SmackDown Raw, should be saying. But no, that Ricochet and Adam Cole, I couldn't disagree with you at all, because I absolutely agree. Now, given match of the year, I don't know about match of the year overall, but definitely match of the year NXT. Which goes, and then that goes to my match of the year, which isn't WWE. And actually, we're about to anniversary this match in a week. Exactly, 1 week exactly. This, for what it held and what it was, just had so much meaning to it. And it was ridiculous. We never thought it would even happen. And that's going to Wrestle Kingdom 12 to start the year off last January. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, IWGP Heavyweight title. One, it's the first match that Jericho's ever had outside the WWE since '99. It's Kenny Omega, who's essentially outside the WWE at this point was the biggest name outside of the WWE. Jericho's getting his first match in New Japan for the title. The year prior, we had a title match, the IWGP Heavyweight title, Kenny Omega versus Okada, and that was match of the year caliber. That was match of years caliber for how great of a match that was. I personally thought the Jericho and Kenny Omega match was even better than that. Maybe I'm biased because Jericho is like one of my top 3 all time. Kenny Omega is a favorite of mine, but the clinic they put on with each other, they in the ring, out the ring. I personally think that was Jericho's best match since the AJ Styles match, and that's saying something. You didn't expect them to go to New Japan and be able to wrestle at their caliber or even at that speed and be able to pull it off, but he did. And whether that's just him or whether that's Omega being able to adjust and bring him into that, or a combination of both, which is what I think it is, man, we're at a year and I still can't get enough of that match. I've watched it throughout the year. I mean, Kenny's had some great matches this year with Cody, Okada, he's just all over the board. Coda versus Cody, and triple threat match, and then we had Jericho, who the next night went after Naito, and then he's an IC title holder now, and has some amazing matches throughout the year. Given he's kind of got the Brock Lesnar thing going on right now, because we don't see Jericho as much defending the belt as all the other titles. But he does show up when no one expects him. He's at the Cow Palace. He's at All In coming after Omega, or coming after Kenny Omega. He just shows up out of nowhere. For me, that match, for what it stood for and what it was, and when the production of it, match of the year for me since day one.
Well, and also the other thing you got to think about too is that that was also I think the starting point to where you could start seeing that, hey, there's stuff out there other than WWE, and it started off with that match, and then you push forward to later on Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and all this other stuff that's going on. I think it was actually like the catalyst to say, hey, we can survive out here. We don't need to be WCW. We don't need to be TNA. We can just be our own selves, doing our own things, giving high-quality matches, and it's going to catch on. And sure enough, it did. This was a year of independence.
Yeah, and to go with that, we always talk about the WCW Monday Night Wars, and we talk about like the big catalyst and the change of guard for the Monday Night Wars, given Nitro was killing Raw's ass the entire time. A lot of the change can go back to the night that WCW and Bischoff announced that Mankind was winning the title.
Yep.
After that, everything changed.
Yep.
So when you listen to interviews and watch this match, Jericho went to Vince McMahon and got approval to go ahead and do this match for New Japan. When would you ever hear that? Given he wasn't under contract, but it's Chris Jericho. He can come to WWE whenever he wants. They hold that relationship. He's, Vince has always held him in high regard. Given I don't know the guy, but for what we see, we can tell that. But he gave him the blessing. That Vince giving Jericho the blessing to do that. Given I guarantee Jericho would have did it anyways, but he got the blessing. That's not much different than Bischoff saying, "Hey, you want to watch Raw? Mankind's going to win the championship tonight. Good luck."
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'm gonna change that. Oh, what? Jericho's fighting New Japan? What? Vince told him to? Let's watch other stuff then. Yeah. And then after that, I've gone to more Ring of Honor New Japan shows this year than I have WWE, and that's just crazy for me to even think that.
Well, I mean, and I think Vince has realized there's a couple things about Vince. He's going out the door. First of all, I mean, he's not getting any younger. We thought Shane McMahon's stint was going to be a short period of time because he came back from his China business. He didn't really need to do it. Ended up being more long term. Triple H has done a phenomenal job with NXT and NXT UK and whatnot. So Vince knows he's out the door, but he also is not dumb. He realizes that in order for WWE to continue to strive and get better with the channel and everything, is he can't rely on just farming talent from NXT, that he does have to occasionally pull in these big names like Keith Lee, and whatnot to make the brand happen. Because at this point, TNA is on their last rung. I don't know. I can't even. I think Jay Lethal's their champion. I don't know.
No, Jay Lethal's Ring of Honor.
Yeah, so I don't even know who TNA has anymore, to be perfectly frank. And they're on their last rung, and there's really no high quality talent that you could think of. I'm not saying there isn't, but I just can't think of any names off the top of my head that's still there. So he's realized that the business has to survive if he gets out to the independents. And how do you make the independents happy? Man, you let people like Chris Jericho, Cody Rhodes does this thing. He asks for a contract, out for his contract to go do things. He lets him do it. I mean, it's just, I think he's realized he's found a way of being able to survive. And kudos to him, because that takes a lot of balls, because Cody's left and he's killed it. Him and his wife are doing great. Jericho's rolling around. He's doing great. I mean, these guys are going out and they're making a name for themselves outside of it. So
and just to go with that, the Impact champion right now is a former WWE guy.
Who is it?
It's Johnny Impact.
Oh, gee. Oh, dang. Okay. I did not realize that. Okay. I thought he was still in the Lucha Libre or whatever it's called, man. I don't know.
Well, Lucha Libre, all that is a reality TV show regarding wrestling. That's not necessarily a faction or organization itself.
Yeah, I tried to watch a season and I got to 3 episodes. Like, this is worse than the 80s. All right, so we got our match of the years out of the way. Let's move on to the male athlete of the year.
You want to do male athlete first? I say we go from the bottom up.
All right, let's go to the tag team.
We'll go heel. We'll go heel. Heel of the year.
Okay, go heel. All right, I'm gonna have you go first this time. Who's your heel of the year?
To be honest, I actually think that we might end up having the same heel here. This is going to be, spoiler alert, this is going to be my lone WWE guy on the entire pick. And my heel, the man who did it nonstop, to highest caliber, to the point where we're talking heel of the decade kind of thing. Tommaso Ciampa, man. It doesn't get much better than Ciampa when it comes to being a heel. Given he's kind of tailed off the last couple months, given with the Gargano and what's really going on there, and what's kind of Ciampa's kind of toned down a little bit. But for, I would say, 5/6 of the year, Ciampa was the name when it came to heel. It didn't get any different than that. And his mic skills, his ripping apart people, his Avengers tweets. I mean, the dude was, when he came to becoming a heel, he elevated that to a level that nobody had seen in a while, and it gave truth to actually being a true heel. And it was great watching him all year long.
I do concur on you with that he is my heel of the year pick. I will tell you a close second for the short period of time that has, dude, Samoa Joe. I mean, he wasn't here the entire year, but the impact he made in the short time coming back, the whole AJ Styles angle and stuff, dude, we were talking about that. That stuff went beyond levels as well. That made that much of an impact to be like, holy crap, man. And it dented the year. I mean, that's why I was saying, I thought I almost did, but then I was like, no, Tommaso Ciampa deserves it. He's been heel since the beginning of the year. The angles got so much hardcore with Gargano. It got so much more personable. His personality now as a championship, dude, it reminds me of Perry Saturn and Moppy to a point where he's got the championship. That's his girl, you know? Yep. And I actually did enjoy that little angle that Perry Saturn had for that minute and everything, because it was just totally off the wall. But he's been able to perfect it and make it to where it's not a childish mop as much as like, holy shit, this is my championship, you know? And he's really perfected it, which is good. It's made that division, it's given life back to it a little bit because of the fact we didn't have a really solid heel for a long period of time there.
Agreed 100%. And as far as, Joe, I'll give Joe the honorable mention and make him the heel of the third quarter. But to be honest, I think that the heel or the AJ Styles Samoa Joe storyline is actually what kind of inhibited the Tommaso Ciampa Gargano storyline, because they were the ones that were going personal, real. This is legit. Yes. And then they flipped and said, you know what? Let's bring this to the main roster. Let's give this to the two of the biggest names on the roster and let it go. And what they did, they gave it to Joe and they gave it to AJ Styles. And at the time, you saw them trying to do it with Becky and Charlotte, and it hadn't really gone and hit fire quite yet.
Yeah,
they were trying it with Bryan and The Miz, and it was falling flat. And then they said, you know what? Give it to AJ and Joe. And that shit went like wildfire. I mean, for a second, I thought we were watching California on TV for a moment, because that shit was on flames.
Dude,
and I think
it was unexpected too.
Yeah, exactly. And because of how well that went, I think they took the storylines that they were using for Ciampa and Gargano and started trying to make that real and that heel heat happen on the main roster. That to elevate that and kind of spotlight it, they toned down NXT with it. And after that, that's kind of when we kind of get this like grayish Ciampa,
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happened. I'm okay with it because obviously they saw what worked and they tried implementing it on the main roster. If you have a star pitcher in the minor leagues, guess what? You're gonna bring him up and try to use that same strategy in the majors. Well, they did the same thing, they tried. They struck out twice, and before they got that third out, they hit a grand slam, and it was fantastic.
Yep, I concur. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in NXT this year with moving forward, especially with the.
It's going to be difficult because I can tell you right now, by mid-year, Ciampa and Gargano will not be on the main or on NXT unless they make it a clear third brand. But if they don't make it a third brand, they will not be on that come mid-year.
Yeah, I concur. All right, so let's go to the tag team division now.
Yes, sir.
Tag team of the year was a little hard for me as well. I mean, unfortunately, all these have been hard because
you're so confined to the monster.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But what happened this year is that when it comes to all these guys, in all the men's, women, and tag team, there wasn't really one that stuck out the most. That really kind of like. I dominated this entire year. Really, there hasn't been anybody. And when they did have a championship run for a long time, aka some jackass that doesn't show up, he doesn't show up. So when it came to the tag team division, I looked at NXT, I looked at SmackDown and Raw, and man, the only one that stuck out the most, that had the most success for the year, I have to say, the Bar. The Bar had the most success for the year. I think they got 2 championship runs out of it. They're current tag team champions. They've been on the top the entire time, even going through injuries. They've still stayed on top.
To go with that, I think I can't remember all the way back, but if I'm going to think correctly, I'm pretty sure they started the year off on Raw.
As champs, I think, weren't they?
No, not as champs because Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan started the year.
Yeah, and then they switched over. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
But I'm pretty sure they had the Raw tag team titles before they got moved over to SmackDown, and they've had the titles on both brands. Now, given the titles on SmackDown only go between 3 teams anyways, but I mean, when it comes down to it, the Bar, man, when it comes to WWE and the tag bouts, 2 guys that nobody ever expected to be tag teams have run with it. They've been doing this for 2 years now.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
The reason they're together right now is because of Mick Foley. Like,
what
the hell? And because of that asinine best out of 11 or best championship or fights, whatever it was going to be.
Yeah, whatever.
But when it comes to it, obviously New Day's been there, the Usos have been there, back and forth, but the Bar have done it, and they have done it at a high caliber. Like they're dominant in that tag team. So I think that's where they get that kind of elevation above the rest, is because they not only did it, the Usos do it. They do a great job. They're going to give off matches that nobody else in the tag team division is going to do. The New Day are going to bring a comedic style and own the mic like nobody else. But the Bar, man, they just mesh so well together. It is amazing. So I can't disagree with you on that.
I almost gave it to the Revival.
I'm going to knock you out right now.
You know what?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last show of Malice with the Bearded Master. I wish you the best. We're going to send our
Now, close second to that really quick, though, and it was the juggling act, was Undisputed Era, because they've also had a very good run down in NXT. But I did give it to the Bar just because I think they've had more of an impact on the division this year.
Absolutely. And the unfortunate thing about the Undisputed Era is that even as great as they are, and the fact they run the whole brand, they still get overlooked with the injuries that they've had with Adam Cole. So I think but yeah, the bar that I get it. Now
right.
for mine, it's a tag team, and anybody who knows me should know where I'm going with it. Tag team division champions in every organization, 6-man tag team champions in every organization. The guys are all over the place. They are the biggest tag team in the world, given WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan. They financed, funded, and ran the biggest event of the year, not named WrestleMania, even though I think it was a better product than WrestleMania. But dude, the local California boys, man, the Young Bucks.
It's
It
the
doesn't
Bucks.
get better than Matt and Nick and what they do, not only in the ring, on the mic, but what they do for the business itself. We're not talking Bullet Club. We're not talking Elite. We're not talking Ring of Honor. We're not talking New Japan. We're not talking any of this if it isn't for the Young Bucks. Given the Bullet Club has been the biggest faction in wrestling for a decade now, but once AJ left, Kenny jumped in. But the only reason why that got known outside of New Japan was because of the Bucks. Their visit to Raw was because of the Bucks. What they've done outside is just amazing, and the fact that their matches, when we talk about how the Bar does it, how the Usos do it, how the New Day does it, the Bucks, if you were to put them on WWE, they're gonna fit in just like the rest of them. They're gonna bring that tag team division to a whole new level. But we're talking wrestling outside of WWE this year because of the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I concur. They've been running shop with Cody Rhodes out there. Like I said, that we talked about this about 5-10 minutes ago. Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks. These have all been people that have been able to bring wrestling to a new era. Kota Ibushi. I concur with you on that, man. Seeing him in the tournament last year, dude, that's my kid's favorite wrestler, and he's only seen him in the tournament. He keeps asking about Kota Ibushi, and it sucked that WWE didn't get him, but at the same time, he's still making names. So,
Well, let's just put it this way. We don't know what's going to happen with Kota as of next week. He's part of the Elite. I mean, he's not like full blown Elite, but he's there. He's with Kenny. He's with the Bucks. He hangs out with them. So we'll see what happens. Given he's got a title right now, but yeah, if your son if Kota is the top of your son's list, I get it. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't see any reason. There's nothing you can say against him not being someone's favorite. Like the fact that what he does as an individual, as the Golden Lovers, it's great. Kota Ibushi is a great wrestler. So got off tangent right there because I forgot where we're going right there.
No, that's all right, man. No, yeah.
So yeah, next it's talk about the female wrestler of the year.
It's hard, man. You're going first on this one, dude. I mean, because here's I'm just gonna throw it out there. As much as my gut wants to say one female, the emphasis has to be of the year.
Exactly. So you can't give it to Becky for the last 4 months.
Nope.
Because
can't give it to Becky.
Before that, she was at the point where it was like, is she going to win a match this year? And the fact that you got someone who's got a losing streak, who's being worked just as bad as what the hell? I can't. I can't even think. Kurt
Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins is. I mean, come on. Again, it goes to somebody who's just destroying it and dominating it across the board. You talked about it a moment ago as far as nobody knows any names from Impact. I would say right now the biggest name from Impact right now, it's not Johnny Nitro. It's not Moose. It is Tessa freaking Blanchard. When you talk women wrestling, you talk the industry wide, Tessa is winning belts everywhere. Tessa is destroying the competition no matter where she goes. You put Tessa in the WWE, and she's immediately the number one performer on that roster. She's beating Charlotte. She's beating Becky. She's beating Ronda Rousey in a heartbeat. It's ridiculous what she can do on the mic, in the ring, The fact she's everywhere. She was the winner of the lone female match at All In this year, which is the biggest event that happened this year. It just doesn't get any better than Tessa Blanchard. The fact that her pedigree elevates to who she is and people know her is one thing, but we have Charlotte Flair, who's a legacy and maybe uses her name a little too much. But we got Tessa Blanchard, who, if you don't know who the Four Horsemen are, you don't know who Tessa Blanchard is, or as the name is, as far as Blanchard goes. But you know who Tessa Blanchard is. Charlotte Flair, you know, because it's Ric Flair's daughter.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what? She actually did. She was in the Mae Young Classic, and I was excited to see her because you're absolutely right. Blanchard is a name that goes with Flair. It's up there. And not as much as championship or anything like that, but just if you've watched wrestling since the 70s, 80s, and stuff like that, that's one of those names that rolls off your tongue. Very simple, because of the fact that her father did phenomenal work, and she's doing just as good, if not getting better. And it's one of those names. Once again, you see her in the Mae Young Classic, it shoots her into automatic, like, hey, people know her name. And then she goes independent or goes TNA and everything, and she's doing better now. All she literally did in the Mae Young Classic was say, hey, here I am. I'll see you later. I'm going to go handle business. I'll probably be back in a year or two, and you guys are going to be freaking stoked. I mean, that's literally what it was. It was a debut for her. It was like a tryout. And she's going to be back in the WWE when that time is right for her, making the money she should be. And right now, she's just dominating outside. I totally concur with you, man. That is a great pick. On the ladies' side, for the WWE and everything, I am going to give it to Alexa Bliss.
Wow.
Yes. And the reason why I'm giving it to Alexa Bliss is because if it wasn't for an injury, she would still be the top person on Raw right now. She was doing. Give me the sec on that. She was running the women's division. She was always constantly in every single promo. She was she was going from being a heel to being nice to being like now like a low budget Stone Cold where everyone loves her, but she's still a heel and everything. She used the Nia Jax situation. She won, I think, 2 championships this year. She lost it and then won it like within a month or two. I think she's the only lady on the roster that really, I think, put an impact on her brand.
Not forget, she cashed in Money in the Bank same night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if it wasn't for an injury, she would still be doing her thing right now. Having Ronda Rousey on there, that's great and everything, but I do think that right now, if you had Alexa Bliss full go health with the way that she cuts promos, Raw Women's Division would be a hell of a lot better right now. And it was a big blow.
I love Alexa Bliss, and I'm a fan of her. I think she's great. I think she'd still be at the top of like one of the names of the women's division, but I don't think she'd be at the top of the Raw roster just because they have Ronda Rousey, and no matter who's there, they're going to put Ronda as number 1 just because that's why she's there. But yeah.
No, hold on a sec. I don't mean to cut you off. You're absolutely right. I concur on that. But to the wrestling fan, Alexa Bliss is the number 1.
I would agree. And here's the thing. When we're talking 3/4 of the year and we're talking about Alexa Bliss possibly being the heel of the year, she may not be the greatest wrestler, but man, she held the title. She's probably one of the top 3 on the mic for the women's division.
Absolutely.
Let's put it this way. She's better than both women's champions right now. No, I will say this. She is better than all 3 WWE women's champions on the mic. But yeah, what she does on the mic, when she came back and was the head of the women's division, it was fantastic. Like they used her right as far as being that heel on the mic, and it's fantastic. Great pick.
And it's amazing because I remember seeing her go into NXT, coming in some kind of like pixie fairy, whatever kind of thing. And the way she was able to go from that to freaking Buddy Murphy and freaking their manager.
Come on, man, leave the man alone. He's got championship right now.
Yeah. But it's just amazing to see her progression. It's awesome to see.
Well, so, look at the other way around. Look at Carmella. When Carmella came in, then she was with Enzo and Cass, and here she is, a multi-champion. and Money in the Bank winner, and she's out of those three the only one with a WWE contract. And actually, she's the only one who's actually actively wrestling right now, and probably in one of the best storylines in the WWE right now with her and R-Truth. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
So,
I concur. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank
So
you.
let's go on to the next one. And who do you have at the top of the list? Who is your epitome of male wrestler of the year?
Oh man. Okay. So you got when I was looking at this one, I had to take everything into consideration. Quality of matches, championship
Brock Lesnar.
runs. Yeah, so we already know Brock Lesnar's out of this. Okay, so let's just get that shit out of the way. And then you got to just look at the impact they had. And you know what? We've been talking about this wrestler since beginning of the year, and oh man, and we've been talking about him as far as what he's done. And I saw what you did there, but I'm going to tell you, it's not him to me.
Oh,
it's
wow.
not AJ.
Okay.
It's not AJ. And here's the reason why. My top male wrestler of the year is Seth Rollins.
Okay.
And the reason why I go with Seth Rollins is because AJ Styles had a great run, absolutely top SmackDown, everything like this. With let's go back to Raw, though. With all the shit that Raw has had this year, with everything that they've gone through, with the lack of a heavyweight champion or with the championship belt, with just the chaos that's ensuing in that show, there's always been one consistent: Seth freaking Rollins. He's had some of the best matches of the year consistently. He's been the first match on a lot of pay-per-views, which ends up being the best match of all those pay-per-views. And he's just been nonstop since he came back from his knee injury, since he's found his groove. He has just been freaking on fire. I hate to say it, burn it down, whatever.
2 IC title reigns.
Yep.
2 tag team title reigns. The guy is everywhere. He was Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Rollins. I mean, there's a reason. And there was weeks I would tune in just because of Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. When if Roman wasn't there, or whatever else, nobody else is doing anything, you knew that Rollins was going to be there, and Rollins was going to give you something to watch, and at a high caliber. Yeah, dude, if it's not for AJ Styles, Seth Rollins absolutely is the male performer of the year on the WWE brand. Absolutely.
Yeah, I give props to AJ Styles. AJ Styles has done a great job with SmackDown, and he's the champ that runs the camp, the house of AJ Bill, everything like that. But to be perfectly frank, SmackDown has had a better year overall because they've been able to manage it better. And if it wasn't for Seth freaking Rollins and his matches, like we were talking about it, man, there was like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, we're just sitting there and saying, all right, dude, we're just going to talk about Seth Rollins for a half hour because that match was it was freaking phenomenal. It was. And he's done it all year round. And I got to give it to him. He hasn't won the big championship, but he doesn't need it because, like you said, two IC reigns and 2 freaking tag team reigns. That's 4 championships in a year. That's a pretty damn successful year for one guy.
Yep.
So there you go, sir. I like to throw out those holy crap, Ken's actually thinking with his brain this week thing. So
all right. So mine kind of goes along the path that I've given so far. He's not in the WWE. Mm-hmm. Was a member of the WWE at one point, but the guy's won multiple titles, 6-man tag team titles. He's he's got titles in New Japan. He's fought for the heavyweight title in 3 different organizations within a 6-month period.
Wait. I'm gonna throw it out there because you did it to me once. I'm gonna say it, man. It's the Nightmare, baby.
It doesn't get any better than that. There is more than one royal name in wrestling, and that is Rhodes. And when it comes to Cody, for what he stands for in the wrestling ring, has been phenomenal. The dude held the NWA World's Heavyweight title. It's amazing. He put on, again, I will say it for the 4th time, outside of WWE and WrestleMania, the biggest show in the last decade in wrestling. And here's the thing. He wasn't even the main event at that card and won the NWA title in a fantastic match. Kenny Omega, Ibushi, he has had every match along the way has proved you do not need to be a member of the main force of WWE to succeed in wrestling. And he has done it at a high caliber. He has done more for wrestling in the last year than he ever did for WWE combined. The fact that we're coming up to 2 days left in the year and we are all wondering what's next for Cody the Elite and them outside is fantastic. People are tuning in. Being the Elite on YouTube is one of the biggest series out there. If you're not watching it, take your time to watch the 3 to 10, 15-minute clips and videos they put on so often. Fantastic. For me, it's Cody. The fact that he has the rights to use Rhodes but doesn't anymore and is doing it as Cody just puts it at such a high level. It is amazing. The fact that I've met him twice this year, the guy is a great guy. He'll sit there with a line of 100 people waiting 10 minutes for the show starts, and he will still sit there and talk to everybody for 5 to 10 minutes and not even talk wrestling.
You know where he gets that from? That's
from his dad.
Exactly. That's his old man, dude. And that's what I really appreciate. Now, I can't sit there and look you in the face and say I've seen all of his matches this year or anything. I could probably tell you I've seen less than one hand's worth, okay? But I can tell you this, is that the day that WWE let him go was bad for WWE, but was good for wrestling as a whole. Because WWE, if anything, when Dusty passed away, it didn't give it almost, I don't want to say suffocated the Rhodes name, but if it wasn't for the fact that Goldust came back and that Cody started putting in some solid matches as freaking Stardust or whatever it is, the Rhodes name could have potentially been suffocated all the way. And Cody saw what was happening, and you could obviously see he has a flair for what his dad does. And because his dad, when you watched him in the 70s and 80s, he, as a promoter, he also realized, yes, he didn't have to be the big name. Even though he had some of the most memorable feuds with Flair, he was not always the big name. When he came to WWE and they gave him that freaking polka dot freaking persona and stuff, he ran with it and he made it happen, but he wasn't the big name. And that's what you really got to appreciate about Cody Rhodes, is that Cody Rhodes is understand that there's more to wrestling than just being the big name, and he's proven it this year. And it's awesome because, once again, I said this 4 or 5 months ago. They are presenting a product alternative from WWE that will actually do a million times better than what TNA did, because they're not, or WCW. It's because they're not fighting WWE. They're just presenting their best product, which is some of the best non-WWE talent could be the best talent overall in all of professional wrestling, and they're showcasing them. There's no boundaries. There's no fences. They'll NWA versus the New Japan. They don't care. They're just trying to provide something, and that's their way they're surviving. And guess what? They found it. And as long as they have that freedom to go back and forth, they're going to be WWE will always be fine. They're never going to go away. But these guys are just going to be slowly but surely the alternative. Will they ever get WWE status? It's hard to say. It's probably be in 10 and 15 years because WWE is light years ahead of everyone else having their own channel and stuff. But they will definitely be there, and they're not going anywhere. And the best part about it is that there's always going to be a Rhodes in wrestling, because wrestling should never not have Rhodes. And that's what I think is the best part about that. And I can agree. He is the best out of WWE Wrestler of the Year. And it's not mainly just for his wrestling. It's just because of who he is. And you're right, man. Those guys that get it, that spend 5 minutes in the freaking signature line and stuff, getting to know people, taking photos. His wife's right next to her, doing the same thing. That's class. He realized what he has. He realized where he came from, and he's not freaking big-headed about it. And that's awesome. That's awesome. That's why I personally need to start getting into that and watch it, because that's truly where that's another form of NXT in a sense. I've said it. NXT is right now the soul and heart of WWE. That they're the AAA who are trying to make their name, and that's what these guys are doing. The same thing. Cody doesn't need to make his name, but he's helping a lot of other guys make their names, which is awesome. And that's a lot of props for him, man.
Agreed.
So
before we get out of here. Just a quick hit. What are you looking most forward to in 2019 coming from wrestling?
Shit, I was going to ask you the same thing. Okay. So from my side of it, personally, I would like to venture out and see, like I said, New Japan and see these guys and Ring of Honor and stuff, and want to see this. WWE, I am looking forward to them expanding. I'm looking forward to the Women's Tag Team Championships finally. I'm looking forward to NXT being the third brand. I'm looking forward to expansion and blood. That's what it is. And what I mean by blood is that you have John Cena coming back, but John Cena's on his last legs. His Hollywood career is everything's there. He's coming and making his Rock appearances at this point. Randy Orton. Same kind of scenario. He's not every week, but he's kind of slowly but surely starting to phase out a little bit. The names we grew up on in the last 15 years, 20 years are starting to make their exits. And this is I think WWE's growing pain year, to where they're gonna expand, they're gonna go to Fox and everything. I'm hoping they get more into NXT, but this is gonna be the year where where you thought it was bad on Raw this year. It probably will be same level for a while until some guys come back from injury and they can bring some new blood into the system and make it. And that's what I'm looking forward to with WWE. I'm looking for a building stage. I'm looking for that in between the 80s crap and freaking Stone Cold era. That's what I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing this year, is that transition and moving forward and just seeing the freaking, like I said, just seeing this high quality stuff happening again,
Yep.
What about you, sir? What are you looking forward to?
One, I'm looking forward to see what Cody and Elite do. I mean, the fact that we've been waiting for 4 months to see what happens here, I think something big is about to happen. I think within the next week and a half, we're going to know exactly what's happening, and that's what I'm looking forward to, big as far as the wrestling industry goes. Personal level, I am looking forward to the live events. In the next 4 months, I got Royal Rumble, I have G1 Supercard, and I have WrestleMania. Like, the fact that I'm going to be able to be at these 3 events, I'm ecstatic. I cannot wait. I'm hoping the time just flies by, and once I'm there, time freezes. Because I've been to pay-per-views, I've been to some big events and shows and everything like that, but New Japan's G1 Supercard with Ring of Honor at Madison Square Garden, WrestleMania, which has been one of my top numbers on my bucket list for years. I'm finally going to be able to knock that off, and it's going to be a year where Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey headline as the first women's headliner of a WrestleMania. It's going to be amazing. So The next 4 months of live events, I just cannot wait. I'm ecstatic for it.
Nice. Yeah, I agree, man. That's going to be WrestleMania is going to be a good WrestleMania. There, with everyone coming back from injury, where they can get rid of Brock and actually bring a championship in, WrestleMania can turn out to be a good one. And like we saw the talent coming up, there's going to be more too. Just because they haven't said Velveteen Dream is not coming up or anybody else, man, doesn't mean we're not going to see him anytime soon either. So it's going to be a fun year this year. So. Before we get out of here, we got to thank Malice Corp. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to have this podcast. I know I speak for Derek, where I said we've had a lot of fun on these things. Sorry for the inconsistencies as our shows, as life does kind of jump in on our stuff. But as you can tell, when we get on the same, we go an hour and a half sometimes, man. It's wonderful. So Malice Corp, thank you guys so much. Please check out the website, malice-corp.com. You can catch all of our old podcasts and all the other shows like Quest for 100. Be Gone and Big Papa Matt actually were able to watch 100 movies in the theaters, and you can watch all the reviews of those. Comics for All, Nerd Mosh Pit, and of course the main cast, which is actually returning January 4th. That's next week. Friday night, 8 p.m. The main cast is coming back. So thank you guys very much. Bearded Master, please tell everyone where we can follow you.
You can find me Instagram, Twitter at @abeardedmaster, as well as Boot to the Face. Always talking wrestling, always talking pop culture, whiskey, wrestling. It's what I do. Come join me, have some fun, shout out some stuff, and we'll just have a good old-fashioned wrestling conversation. I love it.
And of course, you can follow me at Masonic Vader 71. But like I always try to tell you guys before, just follow Malice Smack Talk. That's the baby show right there. This has been the funnest thing I've done. Next, though, if you've been watching those YouTube videos from the main cast, man, we've had some fun times there too. So I hope you guys enjoyed my new camera and new microphone. Merry Christmas to me. Thank you guys so much for enjoying. Happy New Year. We'll catch you in 2019. And of course, as my producer just jumped on, how do we always finish this show with the 1, 2, 3? Yes, upgraded bell next year, guys. Upgraded bell. Happy New Year, guys.